Okay, we are live. ¿Qué tal, amigos? Stuart here with a look at the main stories that have caught my attention in the news. An update, if you like. We'll look at the main stories that are dominating the press in Spain at the moment. We'll look at some comments that have been left on the channel in recent times by viewers, and we'll go into the chat section towards the second half of the live stream this evening and check out what's happening in the live stream. So if you are watching this evening live, say hello in that live stream chat. We'll also take a look at, well, that's about it, basically, some comments that have been left on the channel also. Today, it's the 24th of July. The month of July is flying by. 7:35 p.m. it is in mainland Spain, 6:35 in the Canary Islands, and we'll get stuck into the news in just a moment. But as I said, if you're watching in that live stream this evening, say hello. Now, first piece of news today. And Spain's tourism boom, which we know Spain is experiencing at the moment, record numbers looking to be hit this year around the 100 million mark, I think. 100 million international visitors, 94 million visitors last year coming to the country. But some people are questioning the model, as we know. This article here, Spain's economy risks falling into a tourist trap. Spain's economic growth is increasingly reliant on tourism, a labor-intensive sector that fuels GDP through continuous increases in production rather than productivity. While tourism provides jobs and drives expansion, experts are questioning whether this model is sustainable or truly beneficial in the long term. Some, like analyst Marco Jukic, warns that Spain is heading into a tourism trap where the sector inflates short-term figures but creates long-term challenges. Tourism contributes heavily to Spain's GDP, but its side effects, rising housing costs, overcrowding, noise, and strained public services, are impacting residents' quality of life. Jukic argues that no country has ever become wealthy through tourism alone and warns it may deepen inequality. Property owners benefit while many work in low-paid service jobs. Without stronger productivity or industrial diversification, critics fear Spain could become a country of landlords and underpaid workers, solving economic stagnation in the short term but worsening structural problems in the long run. And you could say that fairly well sums up the Spanish economy at the moment. Jobs are being created, and we'll take a look at the current situation as far as jobs are concerned in just a moment. But an important statement here: no country has ever become wealthy through tourism alone, and it may deepen inequality. And we are seeing some of the cracks, some of the other problems that were also mentioned in that article there by the expert, Mr. Jukic. For example, the overcrowding issues, rising housing costs, noise, strained public services, and some locals in Spain are feeling the impact and their quality of life is being eroded. So that is the issue that many people are dealing with at the moment. So is the government capable of balancing the act? Let's see. The strong GDP growth on the back of tourism and keeping locals happy. I don't know. Let me know what you think in that comment section below. Now, talking about the Spanish job market and jobs that are being created in Spain, record numbers have been published today. The government is patting itself on the back at the moment, especially the Labour Minister Yolanda Díaz. As we can read here, Spain hits record high with over 22 million in employment. Spain has surpassed 22 million employed people for the first time, reaching a historic milestone in the second quarter of 2025, according to data from the Labour Force Survey, the EPA. Between April and June, more than 500,000 jobs were created and 236,100 people left unemployment, lowering the jobless rate to 10.29%, the lowest since 2008. Seasonal factors, including early summer temperatures, and an April Easter contributed to this surge. Noticeably, 7 out of 10 new jobs were in the services sector, especially in tourism-related industries like accommodation and hospitality, which alone added over 180,000 jobs. Private sector growth dominated, accounting for nearly 90% of new employment, pushing the number of private employees past 18.75 million. Government officials praised the figures, with President Sanchez hailing it as proof of a strong economy. Ministers also noted a record employment rate of 68.3%, with retail and administrative roles also showing significant growth. So there we go, 22 million people now employed in Spain, a record number, and unemployment dropping to 10.29%. I think the lowest figure ever as far as unemployment is concerned in Spain, surpassing 2008 figures when, of course, Spain's economy was booming fictitiously with the real estate sector back then, but we all saw the crash and things went down pretty quickly then. Hopefully it's not going to happen again. The jobs being created are long-term jobs, more stable jobs, I don't know, but politicians, as we saw, they're happy with the results. And why wouldn't they be? Because they look very good on paper, but the majority of jobs that have been created in services, as we saw, hospitality, tourism-related jobs, and do they provide the necessary growth or the productivity that the country needs, as we saw in that first article? I don't know. Again, let me know your opinion in the comment section below. Third piece of news now, and Spain's rail system is also going through a surge. High-speed rail in Spain hits a record 40 million passengers in 2024. Spain's high-speed rail network saw a record-breaking 40 million passengers in 2024, marking a 22% rise on the previous year and a 77% increase compared to 2019 before the pandemic and rail liberalisation. According to the 2024 annual rail sector report by the National Commission for Markets and Competition, trains are gaining ground on more polluting modes of transport, particularly domestic flights. Environmental groups highlight the ecological benefits, with rail travel emitting significantly less CO2. A Madrid-Barcelona journey by train emits up to 18 times less CO2 per passenger than by plane. In 2024, AVE and Avlo services helped move more than 769 tons of CO2 emission, helped avoid, more than 769,000 tons of CO2 emissions thanks to passengers shifting from air to road travel. Despite this progress, Greenpeace warns that ongoing airline subsidies and tax exemptions for aviation fuel undermine greener alternatives. Overall, rail use also grew, reaching 549 million passengers across all services, with commuter trains accounting for 82%. So there we go. That is what's going on as far as high-speed rail in Spain is concerned. 40 million passengers in 2024, record numbers, as we can see here. People choosing to travel by plane over road and air, and of course the Greenpeace activists and other environmental activists are happy about that, because as we know, they don't like people traveling by plane for short trips. And that's also something that the government has mentioned over the last few years, perhaps getting rid of short-haul air flights in Spain. For example, routes like Madrid-Barcelona, when you have alternatives like the train. Sure, on a plane you can get there quicker. I think it's only less than an hour by plane, whereas by train it takes a few hours at least. But of course, environmentally speaking, that is what people would prefer. And the government, of course, with its green badge on its chest, wanting also more people to travel by train. But as we know, in recent times, the train services in Spain have suffered some setbacks, especially when it comes to delays, the power cutting out and things like that, and leaving people stranded. And it hasn't been a good look for the rail operator, seeing people stranded on high-speed rail lines for up to 10 hours, which is what happened recently, I believe, on the Madrid-Andalusia lines, which are a very, very important line or route in Spain, taking people to the southern parts of the country where they want to go on holidays or visit their relatives. Comments. We'll look at some comments that have been left on the channel by viewers. Plenty of comments have been left the other day. Many comments, over 150 comments left, I think, on one video alone. We'll have a look at the first one here from Robert. So we have to believe the official statistics now. Give me a break. You are out of it. Spanish government is covering up. Do not foot people, I think he means fool, from your ivory tower. Thanks, Robert. Obviously skeptical about the government figures the other day, saying that I think it was related to crime in Spain, the official government statistics that came out, saying that Spain has not seen a huge increase in crime, regardless of what some pundits on social media are spreading out there. Statistics are fairly modest in that regard, I think. Crime might be up in some parts of the country, but in general, it is not according to government statistics. But of course, people like Robert prefer to do their own research when it comes to these things. I'm sure that Robert's sitting out in the street now counting the amount of crimes going on, personally taking his own statistics and not believing the statistics that are compiled by the government. For example, all of the arrests that are made by the state security forces all get compiled, put into a computer and spat out, and that's how they get the results. But again, Robert preferring to do his own research there, and quite clear that we shouldn't be trusting official government statistics, because there are better statistical pundits out there that can give you a better point of view, according to Robert. Thanks, Robert. And while you're there, I suggest you... well, I won't suggest it, but anyway, thanks for the comment, Robert. Another one here from 114JT. I'm in Vera currently and having no issues whatsoever. This anti-tourism stuff is more hyped up by the British media. It's a storm in a teacup. Spain is my go-to destination, and I will not stop coming anytime soon. Keep up the great information, Stuart. Thanks 114JT for the comment. Still enjoying Spain, regardless of what the British press is spouting at any given moment, saying that the tourism industry here in Spain is collapsing on its knees. And of course, the protests by a group of, a relatively small group of individuals that we've seen earlier this year, I think back in May, maybe early June, where people took to the streets trying to convince the government that tourism is affecting their quality of life, which it could be. I'm not doubting that, but of course they're only a small group of people that are complaining currently through protests. But people still sticking to Spain as their tourist destination. Even though we saw the other day that numbers are down on the Costa del Sol, some people, of course, are also refuting that data, saying that that is not the case. We'll see a comment from someone in a moment refuting that. But again, the statistics that are out there are suggesting that perhaps numbers could be down in some aspects of tourism on the Costa del Sol. I don't know. But again, these statistics, and people, as we saw, are skeptical when it comes to statistics. But thanks for that 1-1, and enjoying their time in Vera, which I think is in Almeria. Don't quote me on that. I think it is where it is, Almeria, but I could be wrong. The next one here from Lorna. This is the one I meant to say. I was talking about before, sorry. The Costa del Sol is booming with tourists. Traffic, packed supermarkets, beaches and restaurants. Unbelievably noisy. So Lorna refuting the claims put out the other day by the Costa del Sol Tourism Board that numbers are down, especially when it comes to local tourism. 15% was the number quoted. I think that was it. And also international arrivals down. Maybe not necessarily from the British countries or Great Britain or the United Kingdom or whatever it's called nowadays, but surely the statistics are not lying to us. I don't know, but that's what we saw the other day, that 15% less local tourists visiting that part of the country. But it can be busy down there if you compare it to the winter months, for example, Lorna, which I suppose that's what you're doing. But it is packed, according to Lorna, at the moment on the Costa del Sol. If I can find that one there. Traffic, supermarkets packed, beaches packed, and restaurants unbelievably busy. So thanks, Lorna, for your input there. One here from John, just back from Ibiza, the East Coast. Gone too expensive. 3,400 euros for an old apartment for 12 days. 30 euros per day for beach sun lounges. 8 euros for a pint of local beer. Lovely locals, but won't be going back. So John stating here that he won't be going back to Ibiza, primarily because a pint of beer costs 8 euros. And let's be honest, if you're coming to Spain, you don't want to be paying 8 euros for a pint of beer, especially when you can get a pint of beer in other places around the country for less than 4 euros, which is still expensive, in my opinion, considering some of the prices that we've had in Spain for beer up until now. I was talking to someone the other day, and beer is one of the things that seems to have gone up in price the most, especially when you buy it at a bar or a restaurant. Supermarket beer prices don't seem to have gone up at all. You can always find a can of beer on special for around 40, 50, 60 cents, 70 cents for a premium beer. But start going to a bar, or a fancy bar maybe, like on the island of Ibiza, and you're going to be slapped 8 euros for a pint. Highway robbery. And the price of the apartment, what was it there? 3,400 euros for an old apartment for 12 days. An old apartment. And let's not forget 30 euros a day for the sun lounges there. So John not coming back, priced out of Ibiza. So that's also something that we're dealing with at the moment, people being priced out of holidays on places like that, because I imagine that Ibiza has become too popular for its own good and people are cashing in. And as I said, 8 euros for a pint, highway robbery. Highway robbery. Thanks, John, for that. Maybe think of somewhere a bit cheaper next year. I'm sure you will be able to find a beach holiday in Spain where they're not going to hit you 8 euros for a pint. Or drink cañas, because cañas don't go warm in the sun like pints do. One here from Blood Carver. Everything is way too expensive at the moment. Food has risen around 35% the last 3 years. 10 years ago it was cheap here. Now not so much. Thanks, Blood Carver, for the comment. Yes, we are experiencing very high prices when it comes to food. 35%. Some things went up even more. We know olive oil hit record high prices, and of course that contributed to other things becoming more expensive as well, especially restaurant prices that were using olive oil. But what can we do? I think this is a worldwide phenomenon. I know people in Australia are also complaining about high prices, and no doubt in other countries in the world they're also experiencing these high inflationary prices at the moment. Spain is no different. We saw the price of a pint in Ibiza. But again, if you go to the supermarket or to the corner shop, the corner convenience store, you'll get a cold beer for €1 still. And that's what some people are deciding to do. They're not going to bars anymore. They're not going to restaurants anymore. They're standing on the corner, drinking a beer outside and saving money. That's what a lot of people are doing. But 35%, yep, that could be the issue. Or it could be more, or it could be less, according to what you are buying. Blood Carver, of course. Thank you very much for the comment. Simon here saying the north of Spain is becoming popular among Spaniards. The weather in the north is much more forgiving in the summer. Thanks, Simon. That is absolutely true. The north of Spain is becoming more popular. I'm sure that's one of the reasons why the Costa del Sol numbers are down for locals, because they're choosing cooler destinations. You don't want to be coming from the center of Spain where you have been sweating for a couple of months and not sleeping well, and going to a place like the Costa del Sol where it is just as hot and humid on top of that. So they're heading to northern parts. They're heading to the Galicias. They're heading to the Asturiases. They're heading to the Cantabrias, the Basque country, where it is a little bit cooler, of course. Or maybe they're going to the mountains, where it also can be cooler in some parts of the country, rather than sweltering on some of the coastal areas where, as I said, the humidity can prove to be a problem. But absolutely right there, Simon. The north of Spain is becoming popular amongst the locals. That is true. And also amongst foreign tourists as well, I believe, according to data as well. Thanks for the comment. Another one here from Exit on the Inside. As with all Brits coming to Spain, do any ever eat local cuisine? Many have been there for years and can say hola, adios, hasta luego y poco o poquito. Thanks, Exit on the Inside. Obviously critical here of the British people in Spain. I'm going to stand up for British people that live in Spain. I'm sure they do eat local cuisine. Every now and again, I imagine they go for a curry, or they go for some fish and chips, or they go for something that is familiar to them, as a lot of people do. It's what people do. They like food that is comforting. They like things that are familiar. Ask any Spanish person that travels abroad that they're on the lookout for Spanish food, or they're craving Spanish food. And how many people have I spoken to from Spain over the years that criticize every other country's cuisine? Because as we know, Spanish people are very, chauvinistic, nationalistic when it comes to food. Spanish food is the best in the world. And again, is it the best in the world? I don't know, but I don't blame any person for trying to look for their own cuisine. I can't do it, of course, because I don't come from a country with a strong food culture, at least something like, a French cuisine or an Italian cuisine or a Spanish cuisine or something like that. I mean, you're not going to find too many Australian restaurants around the world, and if you do, stay clear. That would be my advice. But again, when it comes to people looking for British food, sure, why not? Language-wise, I'm sure that people that don't dominate the language are in the minority, or at least I would like to think so. And people hopefully know a little bit more than the words that you say here. Hola, adios, hasta luego, y poco o poquito. So there we go. And eating local cuisine, I do it all the time. It's the only choice that I have, because it's the only type of restaurant that I go to. Every now and again, I might go to a Chinese restaurant, or I might go to a Peruvian restaurant, or I might go to an Indian restaurant if I'm feeling adventurous. But the majority of the restaurants that I go to are Spanish restaurants, and nothing wrong with the food. And I'm sure other people feel exactly the same way, even though we could be under the impression that people are only eating baked beans on toast, bacon and eggs, and curries when they're in Spain. But I don't think it's the case. I could be wrong. Let me know if I am. Now, I'm going to go into the chat section. We'll see what's bubbling away in the chat section. Hopefully, it'll be a smooth ride today. We've had some bumpy rides in the chat section in recent times. Certain topics have been mentioned on the channel, and of course, lots of people came in giving their 20 cents worth and trying to stir things up. But hopefully, I think even the other day, we had someone in the chat section trying to stir things up. So we'll see what's going on there today. I'll go in there in a moment. Before I get there, I need to say thank you to people that have supported the channel through the Super Thanks option here on YouTube, people that have bought me a coffee, of course, Patreon supporters, longer term supporters on Patreon, and also the channel members of this YouTube channel. Thank you very much for that support. From 99 cents a month, you can support the channel. An absolute bargain if you want to support the channel there. From 99 cents a month. What else do I have to do? Yes, I need to put the email address on the screen as well. If anybody wants to send me a picture, which people have done. James and Kathy sent me some photos today or yesterday, I think it was. So I'll get those on the green screen when I get a green screen set up going again. Won't be one here for at least a few days, or at least a few live streams. But when I get back into my regular room with the green screen, I will put those pictures up. So if you're traveling around Spain and you've got a picture that you think is worthy of going on the green screen, please send it through to that email address, or anything else that you would like to bring to my attention. That's the email address for you. Or any suggestions, maybe you've got a restaurant that I should go to and film a video there, because the restaurant videos are starting to become popular. So any suggestions, I'm willing to go to try the food at those places that you guys suggest. So let me know at that email address, please. Also, the like icon, we're currently sitting at 47 likes. So if you haven't hit the like icon yet, please do so. Just below the video, you will find it. Or if you're watching on a television, you have to go into the settings to find that like icon. Now, see, my voice is starting to crack again. Hopefully I'll get through the live chat section here. Let's go. On the screen now, let's bring them up. Some familiar names there as always. Andrew, the first person that I can see, valued member, of course, with that little yellow star next to his name there. Good evening, Stuart and all. Hope you are well. Raining nearly all day in London, southeast, 22 degrees there. We saw some good weather for a while in parts of England and the United Kingdom. I think even Wales had some good weather there for a while. But it seems the rain has come back, but I'm sure the Welsh viewers will let us know. The Jazz Shed is also here from a very soggy, wet again. Berry St. Edmunds, Sue and I both think that your partner's fish was the best dish, the numero uno yesterday. Thanks for everything. Have a great holiday. You could be right, the Jazz Shed. Your wife and yourself could be right with that choice. The nice piece of grilled fish. I wanted something a little bit different, because fish here in Portugal is available at a lot of places. So is pork, to be honest. So I wanted something a little bit different. But yeah, the fish dish was very, very tasty, and perfectly cooked was the quality of that fish, which is what you would expect here in a Portuguese restaurant, because as I said, they know how to grill their fish, the Portuguese. Thanks for that. Janet's in the chat too, coming in from a cloudy Oxford. Maybe not raining there yet, but cloudy nonetheless. Cloudy nonetheless. And saying here that Oxford has been dry all day. So the rain obviously hasn't got there. Maybe yet we should put into that sentence. Don't know. Al is here also. Can't join the party today or tonight. Will be in El Puerto de Santa Maria next Tuesday. Have fun. Thanks, Al. Will do. Stephen is in the chat here also. Hope everyone is having a good week. Nearly the weekend. And if you're lucky enough to be in Spain, enjoy the heat. Although I see there are warnings for storms in some northern parts, says Stephen. Yes, Stephen, I think there are warnings for storms in some parts of the country. I think Catalonia has storm warnings at the moment. Hopefully they won't be the heavy storms that we saw last week, maybe the week before in that part of the country. But you never know with the current temperatures of the Mediterranean what those storms are going to bring, because that's one of the causes according to the experts. Barbara's in the chat here. Hola todos from a humid Playa Flamenca with rain forecast tonight. So rain also forecast for that part of the country too, the Valencian community. So hopefully, again, as I said, we don't get those heavy downpours that we saw a couple of weeks ago. Larry coming in from the Cabo Blanco Arona Tenerife. Larry, a regular viewer, of course, always leaving a comment here. Good to see you, Larry. Also in the chat section, also in recent times, Larry has been prominent, which is also good to see Larry putting his point of view forward. Proud Liberal, cheers from the state of Virginia in the United States. Thank you very much for that, Proud. Good to see you. Helen saying that she hasn't been able to catch a live stream for ages, but today obviously back in the chat section here. Thanks, Helen, for that. Proud Bear asking the question, is the golden visa officially dead? Yes, I think is the answer to that question. Although I don't really deal in visas and that type of stuff. I know that some YouTubers out there have turned the corner and are starting to give advice on this type of thing. That's not my case, but yes, I think the golden visa is officially dead. I think only a couple of choices now as far as visas are concerned, I believe. I don't think there's a similar version to the golden visa, but I could be wrong, and I'm sure somebody will let me know if I am. Johnny's saying that he will catch up later, but saying hello, valued member Johnny. Good to see you, Johnny. Hope you do catch up later. What else? Let's have a look. Joaquin. I told you once, tourism in Spain is 13% of GDP, while in Britain it's 10%. Spain does not live off tourism. We have big companies, banks, Telefonica, Zara, Santander Bank, etc. Yes, Joaquin, we all know that. Tourism GDP 13.5% of GDP. We know that the country does not live off it, but there are parts of the country that do live off it, Joaquin. Maybe not at a national level, of course, but there are parts of the country that are very dependent on tourism. That would be, for example, the Balearic Islands, the Canary Islands, the Valencian coast, some parts of the Valencian coast, Malaga, for example. There are parts where the GDP is a lot higher than 13%. But yes, at a national level, it's 13%. We had some, I was going to use a derogative term there, but a person in the comment section the other day said that it's 60% or something. Absolute falsification, absolute lie. But anyway. Biguggy, I think that is here. Hi, Graham here, non-resident homeowner in Murcia. Love the channel. Such a shame about the negative tourist news, but personally never experienced any animosity myself. Always very welcoming. And I think, Biguggy, that would be the overwhelming opinion of people that visit Spain or live in Spain. It's a positive experience. I've always been positive when it comes to this type of thing. Sure, you're going to come across the odd person that might try to take advantage, or maybe you're in the wrong place at the wrong time, but that can happen anywhere. I don't think Spain is any more dangerous or any less dangerous in that sense than other places. But all I know, having lived in Spain for nearly 3 decades, I'm just thinking about it now, nearly 3 decades living in the country, I haven't had very many. I'm not going to say never, but I haven't had too many negative experiences. People have generally been friendly, and it all depends on the attitude as well that you put forward. Sometimes you don't get a smiling face when you walk into a bar or a restaurant, but somebody might be having a bad day. It's as simple as that, as they would be in other places, I am sure. But anyway, good to see you have had a positive experience as well. Liz coming in from a very windy Benidorm. Which way is the wind blowing there, Liz? Is it coming from the Poniente? Is it a Poniente wind? Or where's the wind coming from? Which direction is it? I'm sure that's important in Benidorm. Joaquin also saying here, our problem now is that we do not want to be England or France with those illegal immigrants. That's why Spain is still alive with its culture and religion. Again, Joaquin, I don't really think there's a threat with that, but I'm sure people will doubt what I've just said and add to the conversation. But yeah, there's a very negative perception when it comes to immigration, unfortunately. I come from a country of immigrants, and sure, I've seen a lot of the things that have gone on recently in Spain, where I come from, but people learn to live together. What else we got going on here? Larry saying, Joaquin, what percentage of Spanish people actually attend church on a regular basis? If it's 10%, I would be surprised. Most church services are empty, with most attendees over 65. So, Larry, posing the question there, getting the asking the question back there at Joaquin, who was worried about the threat to his culture. 10%, I would be surprised. Yeah, to be honest, Larry, I don't know what the figures are. That I've probably only stepped in a church on a handful of occasions over the years to go to weddings or funerals or things like that. I don't attend church on a Sunday basis because firstly, I'm not Catholic, and secondly, I don't frequent churches on Sunday, as some people might do. But what's the percentage in Spain? I can say that of all of the people that I know, probably only a handful would be regular church goers. And there are also people that have sent their kids maybe to a religious school, for example, but they would still hold the values of the church close. Whereas the majority of people, as I said, not so. But good question, Larry. We'll see what the reply is. Andrew saying here, visited Cathedral Beach 30 years ago. Peace, tranquil, stunning. Now book in advance, pay, car park, join the queue of hundreds. Progress, not sure at all. Cathedral Beach in Galicia, up there in the north coast of Galicia, I believe. A very, very popular tourist destination nowadays, primarily because, Andrew, correct me if I'm wrong, but the Instagram effect has really taken that beach to a new level. And now, as we can see here, you have to pay in advance like you would if you were going to the Alhambra in Granada. Car park you have to pay for, joining the queue. Not sure about the progress, if it's going in the right direction. Thanks for that. Bronny coming in from Wales, enjoying the live stream. Best wishes. Didn't get a weather update from Bronny. Never mind. Christine replying also to Joaquin, please, such nonsense. So Christine very swift and brief with the words there, not believing Joaquin's point of view. But of course, everyone is entitled to their opinion. That is true. Let's have a look here. What else we got going on? Christine's enjoying a nice breezy day in Madrid with a gin and tonic. Thanks for that, Christine. Phil's coming in from Almeria, down there in the south of the country. Andrew asking people to hit the like button. We're currently at 70 likes, Andrew. 130 people watching today. Thursday is never a big day for the live streams. Maybe people are out and about, starting their weekends early. What else we got going on here? Nia saying, remember there are lies, thinking lies, and then there's statistics. So Nia giving his point of view there also. Victoria saying, hoping everyone's had a lovely Thursday. Thanks, Victoria, for that. Gigi is in the chat, coming in from Surprise, Arizona, where we keep hearing of tourists in general as bad, but not all tourists are bad. Perhaps we should focus on educating visitors on being good tourists. Maybe, Gigi, we could promote that. I don't know. I think you need to find the balance between the two, right? If we can. Joaquin asking about the prices of a beer in a pub in England. You are in Europe, mate. Everything is expensive here in Spain and in other parts. Well, I don't know what a price of a beer in a pub in England is because I haven't been to the UK probably for about, 5 or 6 years when I was passing through. A lot of people think that I'm English because I speak the language, but I'm not. I'm not from the United Kingdom. I'm not from Scotland. I'm not from Wales. I'm not from Northern Ireland. I'm not from England. So I don't know what the price of a beer is there. But I can tell you, Joaquin, that where I come from, a price of beer is very, very expensive. Very, very expensive. But a lot of people have traditionally liked Spain for the cheap prices. GA saying, and buy the local beer and not the expensive imported beers. That may be the answer. I think when you go to bars and restaurants in Spain, the majority of places that I see at least, but of course I live in mainland Spain, maybe it's different in Ibiza. You do have more imported beers there. I don't know. Maybe they're drinking Corona, for example. I don't know what they're drinking, but I know the price of a bottle of beer. You wouldn't pay more than maybe €2.80, €3 on the outskirts of Madrid, maybe less in Madrid, capital city, because of competition. I don't know, but €8 for a pint seems a bit expensive. Larry's saying the price of a pint of beer in London is at least £5, which is about €5.50 in London. Christine has family in Ibiza, also complaining about the rising prices. Again, maybe Ibiza is one of those places that's just becoming too popular for its own good, the old supply and demand. Isaac saying Mexican food in Spain. How would I answer this question? Mexican food in Spain. Well, if you go to a Mexican restaurant, Isaac, you will find Mexican food in Spain, but don't expect anything other than maybe a plate of nachos in any other type of restaurant. But Mexican food, go to a Mexican restaurant. Spanish food, every other restaurant. Joaquin saying you would be surprised how many youngsters feel Catholic and go to church. Catholicism is rising in Spain. I am a Spaniard. I know what I'm talking about. You Brits have problems of your own. So Joaquin, raising the tone here. Many young people are going back to the church in Spain. Thanks, Joaquin, for that. Let's see some statistics. What else we got going on? Christine also saying here, as an immigrant to Spain from the United States, I think many have to shift the focus of Spain being cheap to saying Spain is more affordable. Perhaps, Christine, that's the way we need to look at it now. More affordable. Yes. Isaac is getting a reply from Larry here. There is Mexican food in Spain, at least in La Palma, Canarias, of course, but at Mexican restaurants. You're not going to find it in Spanish restaurants. I'm not sure if that's what Isaac was referring to. What else? Let's have a look here. Larry saying, please go to a Spanish or Portuguese seafood restaurant and review it. Larry, I'd go and have fish. I'm not a huge seafood eater, primarily because of the price. I think that seafood is one of those things that obviously the premium prices that you pay, and we don't want cheap seafood, but I'll look into it and I'll see if I can find somewhere that fits my budget, Larry, and I could review it. There are plenty of places around that do have seafood on offer, but again, the prices, even nowadays for fish, in this part of Portugal at least, are quite expensive. So I'll see what I can do, Larry. But in Spain, when it comes to seafood, yeah, there's plenty of seafood options. But again, the budget. What else we got going on here? Let's have a look. Sani's in the chat. Good evening, everyone. Thanks, Sani, for that. Good to see you. Gary's saying, people like this guy will destroy Spain just like the UK has been destroyed. Thanks, Gary, for your valuable input on the channel this evening. This guy will destroy Spain. Are you referring to me, Gary? Are you referring to me? Are you referring to me, Gary? Sound like Robert De Niro in Taxi Driver there. Quite rainy in Spain today too, according to Frank. Not sure where Frank is, but I'll take your word for it, Frank. What else we got going on here? Helen, there are quite a few Indian and Mexican restaurants on the Costa del Sol. Catering probably to the tourists, maybe, Helen. I know where I live in the Madrid community, there's probably 3 Mexican restaurants in total for a population of 100,000, and there'd be maybe 2 Indian restaurants as well. A few years ago, there weren't any foreign cuisine restaurants, but nowadays there is. Saijo or Sigo, I think this is here. Saludos desde la India. Thanks for that. Don't get many people watching from India, I don't think. Good to see you. Alan coming in here. How much are the flights for this weekend, Stu? Alan from Berkshire. Don't know. Got no idea how much the flights are, Alan. I'll do a quick Google search when I can. What else we got going on here? Bob's in the chat, valued member. Greetings from a very dark Torrevieja. We await the arrival of rain to add to the wind blowing a hoolie. So wet and windy it's going to be in Torrevieja. I'm sure it won't last long. Given the date, the 24th of July, just a summer storm. Let's hope that it doesn't rain as heavily as it has done in some other parts of Spain recently, Bob. If it does, stay indoors. What else? Let's go on. We got a super chat here from valued member and regular contributor to the channel, NVN. €5. Best regards. Thanks for that. It's my coffee taken care of for tomorrow. Elvis coming in from a cloudy Holland, planning to visit Gran Canaria in November. Well done. I hope that all goes well and you get down there, Elvis. Enjoy your time down there. I imagine November would be a great month to visit Gran Canaria. Larry's saying that in La Palma there are 0 Indian restaurants but a few Mexicans. In South Tenerife both types are present with more Indian than Mexican. Again, catering to the tourist, I would say. You tend to find a lot of Indian restaurants in places where there's a big British tourism, because as we know, a lot of British people like their Indian cuisine. They like their curries, and that's why you tend to see them in those places there. But again, where I live, not so much. Gary's back again with another crack. This guy doesn't like the truth. He thinks people opposed to the current rates of immigration opposed to all immigration. LOL. Thanks, Gary, for your input today. Again, I greatly appreciate it, mate. You're a champion. What else we got going on here? Helen? I've seen quite a few Indian ones, in particular on Lanzarote. Their food is great, but there's the super Spanish ones as well. Thanks, Helen, for that. Yeah, it all comes down to, I think, the type of tourist. Spanish people, I don't think, are frequenting Indian restaurants all that much, I don't think. At least the ones that are in my local neighbourhood. Maybe on a Friday and Saturday night, but apart from that, not really. What else we got going on? Shirley's in Wales, 23 there today. We need rain. Grass is not growing. Large agricultural show been on this week. Cooler earlier in the week, better for the animals. Thanks for that. Stratospherian valued member. We've got Denmark Kroner, 19 Denmark Kroner. A thumbs up for that. Thank you very much for that. And also your support of the channel Stratospherian. I appreciate it. Mix off to Barcelona in the next few days. Lots of affordable seafood options and fresh from the sea. Can't wait. So Mick's going to be tucking into the seafood there. What else we got going on here? Charlie saying that I did destroy a sandwich in a controversial review, if I remember correctly. So could he destroy Spain? The question. Well, maybe I could. How did I destroy a sandwich? Exactly. Please let me know how I destroyed a sandwich. Because I put mayonnaise on the sandwich, but because I put mustard on the sandwich, those things were put on the table by the owner of the restaurant. So I presumed that that's what people eat them with. And from what I've seen, a lot of people do. So thanks for that. But anyway, people did criticize me for putting mayonnaise and mustard on that sandwich. But again, do whatever you want. If you want pickle, if you want piccalilli on your sandwich, put it on. Who cares? What else we got going on here? John, thanks for sharing. Gives me a better understanding of Spain. Thanks for that. The person that we saw before, I think Gary wouldn't agree with you. Gary seems to be a bit anti, my opinion. I gave an unfavorable review to Spain's best sandwich. Are you talking about the calamari sandwich, Charlie? Yeah, because it was rubbish. That's why. I'm sure if I had have got a good one, it would have been okay. But the one that I ate was dry, very, very dry. And there's nothing worse than dry bread and dry calamari in a sandwich. I can guarantee it. A bit of mayonnaise would have come in handy, but I didn't put any on that sandwich. I should have put some on that sandwich, and it would have been a lot better. That is for sure. And it's raining lightly in Murcia, according to Charlie. Thanks for that, Charlie. Good to see you in the chat, by the way. So, yeah, when it comes to food reviews, eat the way you want. Eat what you want, when you want. Put whatever you want on the sandwich and give your opinion on it. If it's dry, say that it's dry. If it's nice, say that it's nice. If it's not, say that it's not. And that's it. But anyway, now I'm going to wrap it up. Been a pleasure as always. I'll be back again on Sunday with another live stream. Hope to see you there. Until then, hasta luego, hasta entonces, adios, and bye-bye.